single dad and CEO were stranded on a desert island. She said, "If we can't go back, must I marry you?" Intro hook. What would you do if everything you knew about someone turned out to be completely wrong? What if the person you judged the hardest became the one who saved your life? This is the story of two strangers thrown together by fate on a deserted island. One a powerful CEO used to being in control, and the other a quiet single dad who had nothing left to prove. What happened between them will remind you that kindness is never wasted, and that love can find you in the most impossible places. Sometimes the ocean doesn't just carry you away from home. Sometimes it carries you straight to the person you were meant to meet. Subscribe invite. Before we dive in, if stories like this one move your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to Heartfelt Moments, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment below telling us what kindness means to you. Your support keeps these stories alive, and we are so grateful for every single one of you watching today. Main story. Her name was Diana Caldwell. At 41, she was the kind of woman who made entire boardrooms go silent when she walked in. She ran one of the fastest-growing tech companies in Austin, Texas, wore her ambition like armor, and had learned a long time ago that softness was a luxury she couldn't afford. She had built her world with precision and kept it running the same way, controlled, efficient, and emotionally airtight. His name was Marcus Webb. 38 years old, a quiet man with steady hands and kind eyes that had seen more grief than most. 3 years earlier, he had lost his wife to a sudden illness, and ever since, his entire universe had become his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. He worked as a marine biologist, modest in his salary but rich in the way he saw the world, slowly, carefully, and always with wonder. They were on the same chartered flight heading toward a research conference in the Pacific when the small plane hit a violent storm. The pilot fought hard, but it wasn't enough. They went down over open water, and when the chaos finally settled, Marcus and Diana found themselves washed onto a small island, remote, beautiful, and completely uninhabited. At first, Diana was convinced rescue was hours away. She paced the shoreline with her dead cell phone in her hand, refusing to accept the situation. Marcus, on the other hand, immediately got to work. He gathered coconuts, built a lean-to shelter from palm branches, and started a fire using a method he'd learned during a field research trip years ago. He didn't complain. He didn't panic. He simply did what needed to be done. Diana watched him and felt something she wasn't used to feeling: useless. And that feeling made her sharp. She snapped at him when he suggested she rest. She criticized the shelter. She made it very clear she was not someone who needed taking care of. Marcus didn't flinch. He just handed her a coconut, cracked open so she could drink, and said, "You don't have to be okay right now." Nobody is okay right now. That sentence broke something open inside her. That night, huddled by the fire as the stars came out in overwhelming numbers above them, Diana asked him about his life. He told her about Lily, her gap-toothed smile, her obsession with drawing dolphins, how she called him Daddy Bear when she thought no one was listening. His eyes lit up in a way Diana hadn't seen in a person in years. Not the manufactured enthusiasm of a sales pitch. Real light, the kind that only comes from genuinely loving someone. She told him about her company, about the sleepless nights and the sacrifices. And then, quietly, she admitted something she had never said out loud before, that she was lonely, that the corner office had started to feel like a very expensive cage. Days passed. Marcus caught fish with tools he fashioned from sticks and wire salvaged from the crash. Diana, to her own surprise, turned out to be excellent at problem solving when she stopped trying to be in charge and started trying to actually help. She organized their resources, created a system for collecting rainwater, and used the reflective back of a broken tablet to signal passing aircraft. On the 5th day, something shifted between them. Diana scraped her hands badly while climbing rocks to get a better vantage point. Marcus cleaned her wounds without making her feel weak for getting hurt. He was so careful, so gentle, that she found herself crying, not from the pain, but from the unfamiliar weight of being looked after. "You're very kind," she said, almost like she was accusing him of something. He laughed softly. "My daughter taught me that." Kids have a way of reminding you what matters. On the seventh night, sitting close together for warmth, Diana looked at him and said the words that had been building quietly inside her for days. Heart joke, heart something she wasn't ready to name. If we can't go back, she said, must I marry you? Marcus looked at her for a long moment, and then smiled the slowest, warmest smile she'd ever seen on another human being. Let's get rescued first, he said. Then we'll figure out the rest. They were found the next morning by a Coast Guard helicopter, thanks to Diana's reflection signal. When they landed safely back in civilization, the first thing Marcus did was call Lily. Diana stood nearby and listened to him tell his daughter he was safe and that he loved her more than all the fish in the ocean. And Lily said, "Daddy Bear, I knew you'd be okay." Diana wiped her eyes and pulled out her business card. She handed it to Marcus and said, "I'd like to meet Lily someday. If that's okay." He took the card, looked at it, and tucked it into his pocket. She'd love that. Closing. Kindness isn't something that needs the right setting or the right moment. It doesn't wait for a boardroom or a beautiful day. Sometimes it shows up on a deserted island, in the hands of a quiet man cracking open a coconut for a stranger who doesn't even know how to say thank you yet. Diana didn't just survive that island, she woke up there. And Marcus was reminded that even in loss, even in uncertainty, a kind heart always finds its way home. Be kind today. You never know whose island you're standing on.